I get it. Put the floor to.
How are you?
So big, come on. That's a champagne.
Carry on.
I'm sorry.
All right.
Okay, thank you.
Put it in there with the banner. Where's the anti-eviction lad?
It's the coffin of shame coming to the forecourts.
Bury the fucking bankers.
Should be barred from any kind.
How are you doing? How are you going, Mike?
There you go, Mikey. Look at that camera there.
You're somewhere, right?
How are you keeping? It's great to see you.
I think it's
What do you want? Justice! When do you want it? Now! What do you want? Justice! When do you want it? Now! What do you want? Justice! When do you want it? Now! What do you want? Justice! When do you want it? Now! What do you want? Justice! When do you want it?
We'll never be divided. Our people united. We'll never be divided. Our people united. We'll never be divided.
And once again. 3 cheers for people power.
Hip hip hooray!
Hip hip.
Hooray!
Hip
Road may be the wrong road, but we're together now to carry North and South and comrades all. Dublin, Belfast, walking down the road, on the one road, swinging along, singing a soldier's song. Well, we'll pause our troubles now and then. Now is the time to make them up again. Sure aren't we all Irish anyhow? Now is the time to stick together. We're on the one road, maybe the wrong road. We're on the road to God knows where. We're on the one road, maybe the wrong road, but we're together now to carry North and South and comrades all. Dublin, Belfast, walking down the road. We're on the one road, swinging along, singing a soldier's song. Hey, up there! Hey, up there! Outside!
was. I didn't think he had.
Not so bad, how are you?
Enjoying yourself.
I am indeed. I always do. I always do when I come to these events. No bother. Got you, lads.
Mary is a 6-year-old girl who went missing in Donegal in 1977. Mary's case is the longest unsolved missing persons case in Ireland today. This is a letter sent to me by Joe Craig. It's an open letter to Micheál Martin, Fianna Fáil TD. Dear Micheál, let me explain who I am. I'm Joe Craig, and Mary was my first cousin. Not that I got a chance to meet her, as she was murdered 2 years before I was born. The official line, of course, is that she is still missing. But if you ever take a trip up to Cashellard in County Donegal to the farm where she went missing, you will know that there was only one thing that could have been fallen her that day, the 18th of March 1977. My mother is Mary Boyle, now Craig, the sister of Mary's late father, Charlie, who went to his grave not knowing where his beloved child was dumped. I hate using that word dumped, but this is exactly what happened, I believe. We grew up knowing how broken-hearted our mother was, and indeed all of our family on her side. Maybe that is why I care so much. Or maybe it is because I have basic human emotions, which so many politicians seem to lack. They talk about Mary as if she's just another political football, something to argue over. Well, she was a living, breathing, full of life 6-year-old child with her whole life in front of her, which for whatever sick reason was snatched away from her. The fact that we are now approaching 40 years from her murder and still she lies out there, anyone in the locality will be able to tell you they know what happened. It's a national disgrace as well as an embarrassment. Anyway, the reason I was writing this letter to you in particular and to any other party leaders is that I have a very real reason to believe that a very long-serving councillor from your party participated in interfering in the investigation of this case. I believe this as I saw testimony of it myself from one of the lead guards from Mary's case, now retired. I do not know if this was a case of this man simply trying to show a bit of muscle or if it was something more sinister. But I 100% believe from what I have heard and saw that he was involved in some aspect in hindering the original Garda's handling in this case. And that is a stain on your party. As soon as I learned this, I asked my local Fianna Fáil TD, Charlie McGonigal, to see could Fianna Fáil on either a Donegal or a national level have an internal investigation into whether this man indeed was involved. I was told this could not be possible as it was a Gardaí matter, among many other fob-offs. I'm sick of these fob-offs. You could sanction an internal investigation into this matter tomorrow on this particular politician's behaviour and pass any of your findings on. Instead, your party remains silent, and your silence says it all to me. I am asking you as one father to another, please do all that you can to investigate thoroughly this politician's behaviour at the time in question and release any findings to help in the investigation into Mary's murder. I look forward to your reply. I hope it is straightforward and not full of political double talk. And please do not ask me to contact the guards, as with all due respect, we have no faith in them when it comes to Mary's case. Regards, Joe Craig, representing the Craig family of Donegal. Thanks.
The letter that was just read was me pleading for my heart to Micheál Martin to help us get closure on what happened to our cousin Mary Boyle. I travelled to Dublin from Donegal to hand deliver that to the Fianna Fáil office in October of last year. And Micheál Martin hadn't the decency to even acknowledge receipt of that letter, never mind send a reply. Our family and our cousin obviously doesn't matter enough to him and the rest of those in power. If we were of a higher class and social standing, you can bet we wouldn't still have our 6-year-old female relative lying buried on a bleak Donegal hillside, whilst our murderer still lives in the local community, unhindered, a loyal paid-up member of Fianna Fáil. They, and indeed Fine Gael, are as guilty as him for continuing to do nothing. Their silence says it all. There is something rotten in a country where wealth and privilege and political allegiance contributes to the murder and subsequent cover-up of one of our children, a young defenceless 6-year-old girl. On behalf of those of us in Mary's family who are seeking justice, I'd like to thank those of you who continue to support the fight. I'd especially like to thank those hearty good souls who protest weekly outside Fianna Fáil's offices.
Yep.
I'm sorry I cannot make it down today, but I have family obligations at weekends. Otherwise, I'd be there alongside you all. This isn't the Ireland that the men and women of 1916 fought and died for. It's time for change, and it's time for justice. Thank you.
Into office, and what can they do? They can do nothing. It's time that we took it upon ourselves to do something. We hold them responsible. They just run and hide. The courts, the judiciary, the RIC that I seen policing us here today, it's back to the old days again. We the people are the only ones that can change that. We need to stand up and be counted. On the orders last Monday, lay litigants, we are the people them courts are supposed to be protecting. But the whole thing has changed. The courts are protecting the big multinationals and are making us pay the price. Now, back 100 years ago, we fought for freedom, to get freedom for our children, to get a life, to get a living. Today, it's not the British that's taking it today. It's the Americans, the vulture funds. But who's giving it to them? Our politicians are handing it over to them. They are not responsible to the people, and they will answer to the people, because we need to stand up. Enda Kinney, I'm ashamed to say, is from the same county as myself. That's where as the fella says, that's where it ends. I'm ashamed that he's even in government. 75% of the people just want him.
Right.
And 75% of the people rejected him, and he's still in there. We need to show these people that they're not acceptable. We need all the people out on the street, not just the few that was today. It's great to see everyone that did come, but you can take it from the Mary Boyle. You can take it from the Mary Boyle campaign, the Shell Deceased, the whole lot of them. They have gone, and I've heard people to call on ministers and TDs for assistance. You might as well be pissing against the moon. There's nothing happening with them. They cannot do anything. We hear what they cannot do with hospitals, with the teachers, with the busmen, you name it. They cannot manage anything. They are only there for the gravy train. We need to take them to account. We need people power to get out on the streets, take over the courts, get a right form of judiciary in. The judiciary here is the link between the government, and they have the guards running around on the ground doing the dirty work for them. The guards are brainwashed. We need to target them and the judges and make them accountable.